Yo, come on, come all, nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't, and what we is here today. Today is a goddamn good day because today I am back from my trip. I've been away all week. If anyone's been living under a rock, I haven't done any videos this week because I have been in Melbourne, Australia. Went out there and for my wife's work. Checked out a bunch of cool stuff like the famous One Piece cafe out there. If anyone wants to see anything related to that, go check my TikTok. The link to to my TikTok is in the link tree down below. But while I was away, I got a bunch of cool stuff, including an official Gear 5 wanted poster, so I'm excited about that. And also some cool stuff like One Piece Film Red merch for Shanks, which, unironically, I've actually just gotten back from the theaters after having gone to see Film Red myself. So maybe later on, we'll talk a little bit about Film Red, depending, but that'll be right at the end of the video. For the moment, yo, Kuma, good to see you, my guy. I haven't read the chapter yet. Like, this is the first time in probably like 5 odd years that I haven't read a One Piece chapter like the minute it's dropped, like the minute I can get my greasy little hands on it. But yeah, that is what it is. Give me... Ooh. My air conditioning seems to not be working too well right now. Hang on. I'll leave that for the minute. Just got a notification, but can't attend the stream. Sorry, Sage. Check it out later. All right, I'm sure there'll be a bunch of stuff that you'll want to check out anyway. That being said, let's get into this chapter. I've got Eggs for Brekkie on standby as well. He's a little bit tired, but he's gonna hop in the minute I'm done reading the chapter, so we can immediately jump into a discussion this week. Obviously, because things have been a little bit delayed, we're just doing 2 birds with 1 stone this week. So, be keen. Let's get into it. So, we've got Luffy and Uta looking glim and glam on the cover of Shonen Jump this week. Obviously, this is for the worldwide release of Film Red, which, if you haven't seen it, go see that movie. That is a damn good movie. I enjoyed it. Personally, it is an easy number 2 in One Piece movies for me. Film Z, to me, is my favourite One Piece movie. This is a close second so far of a first watch through. That being said, like, it was a great movie through and through. Great movie through and through. And more Film Red stuff here. We get to see not all, but a heap of characters from the movie, including Uta with her mysterious black wings. Ooh, what are they? You'll find out in the movie. Yeah, check that out. I love everyone's designs. Specifically, I love Frankie's design. Frankie's design is chef's kiss. Absolutely rock with it. Although I think it's weird that they have people like Katakuri and Gab sharing panels here. There are some very odd combos going on here with paneling, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's being said, let's just jump into the juiciness. Chapter 1065, The 6 Faces of VEGAPUNK. So I'm assuming we're finally going to get to see all the VEGAPUNKs. Okay. I'm just gonna get through this chapter, right? But the 6 VEGAPUNKs faces reveals, I'll have to read and see how they do it, because like VEGAPUNK feels like a very oddball character, so I'm expecting a lot of these to be kind of goofy looking, but I don't know. Lab Stratum Egghead, the island of the future. The reason they stayed on the ship, the way I see it, when it comes to a government island, you got to think about who's going to be around to bail them out if they get caught. Thinking. Who gave this man Zoro a license to think? Honestly. Absolutely honestly. Yo! I was thinking the same thing. Would you care for some tea? Excuse me, sirs. You're still here? Yeah, how'd this man get out the barrel? Yeah. Frankie left and the indestructible barrel just fell apart. Hang on, just give me a moment of your time. I know our deal was to drop me off anywhere away from Wano, but I didn't think we'd be heading for a government island. I heard you helped our captain out. Appreciate it. See you around. Yo, he just glosses over this man's plight. Just like, yeah, that's a you problem. Bye, dog. These jerks. I'll remember this. Yo, look at everyone's favorite black sheep caribou. I kind of want to see like a second gen version of Mads, but instead of scientists, it's discount Logias. I kind of want Caribou and Caesar Clown to team up, and it's like all the terrible people that people wanted to join the Straw Hats, even though it was like they just don't fit, and I'm guilty of this myself. It'd be great to see all of them form their own organization, and it's just like the losers, the losers gallery or something. All right, so this is Vegapunk's lab, Laro. I wonder what Laro means. It's probably something Spanish. And there's a bunch of writing there, like P/A. This is one of those islands where I feel like I gotta pull up my old Latin dictionary, which I definitely have, and find out the meaning of some words here, because most scientific words sort of stem back from Latin in origin. That being said, that looks like a big ass subwoofer on the side of this building. The stairs are moving. New steps are spouting out of the ground. What kind of setup is this? How's it powered? You could say the whole iron runs on fire. Ooh, okay. After all, you can convert its power into any kind of energy. Doesn't that burn through a load of natural resources? I'm always looking for alternate fuels. If only there were such a thing as an eternal flame. I swear, if Frankie's cola is somehow more efficient, I'm gonna laugh my ass off. Then I'd be able to make my very own sun. A sun? This person wants to meet, like... Y'all just need Sabo on the payroll. A sun? Slide. What the... She's going right through the wall? Lilith! Hey, open up. Lilith Chua! Stop dilly-dallying and walk through. You should never let your own senses dupe you. What is it, Edison? Okay, so Edison started talking to Lilith there. Yeah, this is cute. So they can phase through material here? Is that a hologram door? Or solid light door? We passed right through. No way, it's turned back into solid metal again. Okay, so it's metal to begin with. So it must be the memory metal, but it like T2000 forms around people. That is kind of sick. That is some good technology right there. Some good tech. We passed right through. No way, it's turned back into solid metal again. Knock, knock. How the heck does that work? So this is the lab. Where did Lilith Chuan get to? Hey, y'all can keep going dead ahead. Who's that? Yo, the fact that Lilith just got called by Edison... Edison was Edison the inventive one? Vegapunk Edison. Howdy, now just keep walking like I said. That's a Seraphim Jimbo! Woo! Okay. Sorry. It's hard not to see that whole page right there. And he was a Seraphim on one. Ooh, and he's number 4. Ooh, la la. Let's look for some future treasure. Future treasure? Like what? Like a flower made of entirely out of exquisite antique gems. That's a weird fantasy. I can't tell if your taste is closer to a little girl or an old hag. Future Kikwa, huh? Hey, what are you doing here? Jimbei? I don't think that's him. Doesn't he look a little too young? Well, my first guess would be he's his son. Yeah, but on second thought, maybe Jimbei was somehow turned into a kid. No, I'm going with the option 3. It's a coincidence. I mean, the kid's got wings, although there's an ominous air about him. Yeah, and he's got the flame on the back. Ooh, his right arm. His right arm looks like it's been cut off, and they've put bubbles in there. Did Vegapunk give this man his own source of water to manipulate? Out with it. Who the heck are you? Yo, and he stands up. He may look just like... Oh, he may look like a kid, but he's just as big as the real Jinbei. I've got a bad feeling there's a fourth possibility. He's a pacifist. Yo, he called it straight up. Yo, if he can do Fishman Karate and use the light lasers, chef kiss, this bastard is going to be booming. Yo, and they do a big ass explosion there. Yeah. What was all... This was all one giant trap. Oh, yo, I didn't even realize Edison led them into a trap. We should have known the government was never going to roll out the red carpet. Does that mean they're using a clone of Jinbei as a soldier? Spin, spin. But he's still a kid. I really don't want to fight him. Beep, beep. No. Wait. He died. Okay, maybe it's... yo. Dude, for a second there, I thought that looked like Senor Pink's Devil Fruit. The whole room, though, is like the metal, maybe. Potentially. Huh? He's got fruit powers? What's going on? Should I pop out to help him? Not yet, Zeus. Hey. Oh, no. Frankie even says... No. Did they kill Senor Pink? Because we only know that zones can be cloned at this point in time. Got a nice coffee here. Yo, Frankie looks pissed. Hey, I know that ability. And it comes out and it throat grabs Nami. But yo, you can see, it's got the swim ability. Can this fucking Seraphim treat all matter like water, turning anything physical that's non-organic flesh into water and use Fishman Karate with it, as well as having light blasters, Lunarian DNA, and having his own source of water? That would actually be busted. Yeah, Nami. Jinbei, yo, and he's got the star eyes as well. That's it. You just signed your own death warrant. I don't give a crap whether you're Jinbei or not. Is that meant to be Diablo Jinbei or Ifrit Jinbei? Because it looks dark in coloring, because it matches the same as Jinbei's skin color. There. I'm going to assume that's just normal Diablo Jinbei, because it doesn't look like it's got the sharp rigidness of Ifrit Jinbei, but then again, if he's just hurt Seraphim Jinbei with regular Diablo Jinbei, that's pretty impressive. Gigante Fleur. What he said. That was unforgivable. Sea Serpent. Yo, and he just dives. Snapdragon Spank. Yo, and he picks up the floor like it's water. Yo, I'm calling it now. He can use any material as liquid now. That's busted. So you can use Fishman Karate too? Get out of there, Robin. Lethal Green Scar. Skull Exploding Grass. Yo, and he hits him point blank with the poison, but he's clean. I know this isn't Jinbei, but this feels messed up. He's gone, yo, and he swims around and just blitzes Usopp from behind the wall. Usopp. Frankie, hit him with that radical beam, boy. I got this, Sanji. Usopp, don't move a muscle. Radical, watch it, S-Shark. Beam. Howie. Yo, what is this? Oh, okay, this is Dr. Vegapunk Edison. Okay. He just used a beam. Who in tarnation is this guy? Okay, so he talks old timey as well. That's kind of funny. I love how he looks like a chibi RoboCop. Reckon this is getting real risky. The Seraphim's still just a kid. We ain't meant to put it through a laser test till later. Ooh, so at this point in time, it may not be as durable as it will be when it's an adult. Yo, I ain't gonna lie. Seraphim Jinbei with the white hair, because of his bushy eyebrows, he kind of looks like he's got the Gear 5 vibes. Does he not? Does he not give off that Gear 5 love and energy? Flair, Dr. Vegapunk Edison. You said it. Yeah, she's straight on it. Does he have any idea? Does he have the faintest idea how much one Seraphim costs? I'll rip his blasted skull off. Wouldn't go that far. Don't you think that's a bit too evil? What is that in the background? Is that meant to be molecules? Or is that meant to be planets? Because right now, I'm seeing a bunch of spheres inside of another bigger sphere. Interesting. Oh, Eureka! Oh, I've just thought up a new invention. Yeah, okay, so he's the one that always invents, does he? I'll leave the rest to you, Pythagoras. Have to jot down the blueprints right away, of course. My hands are always so full. At this point, even take help from the cat. Meow. Yeah, that is an upright, walking, talking cat. Yeah, and this is Punko for Pythagoras. Wisdom. I love how he looks like a wind-up toy. You don't come across battle data this rich every day. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Let's get some input. The ideas won't stop a-flowing. York, be a doll and eat something for me. Yo, okay, so they've got a Vegapunk that can just eat. Vegapunk 6, sure thing. Munch, munch, delicious. Bring seconds for Dr. York. Her current BMI is over 600. Holy shit. She ain't long for this world. The Seraphim's attack pattern have continued to develop as it grows. That suggests that one's lineage factor really does store some of our recollections and capabilities. Have we just gone Assassin's Creed in this shit? Yo, we're about to start getting some memories through DNA here. We should try and accelerate their growth, although that presents new obstacles. Green blood concentration has risen and heart rate is up to 90 beats per minute. Green blood concentration. What is green blood? I really need the toilet. I'd go myself, but I can't afford to waste the time. Have they got, like, the ability to, like... Have they, like, almost figured out Lord's Fruit? Like, you know how law can separate you and then the two halves can interact together? Each one of these is, like, linked by its own, like, pocket digestive tract in a way? Like, pocket dimension? Flush. Yeah, she slimmed down. That hit the spot. Gotta punch something to help me digest. The rat just throwing hands. She kind of a bae too. So sleepy, straight out. Dr. York's on today's SDN cycle. Snack, dump, nap. So York is desire. Right. Carry over the materials Dr. Pythagoras needs. Also, Dr. Edison is prepping for another experiment. Get to simulation room 88. Yeah, they're just in a busy ass rush, ain't they? That's enough, Seraphim. Return. I can't move. Edison, Lilith, Pythagoras. You three have had your fill too, right? Oh, what a shame. Of course that scoundrel butts in when things finally get good. Eureka! I'm Dr. Vegapunk Shaka. Dr. Vegapunk, logic, punk Shaka. You must be the Straw Hat Pirates. Yo, I love Shaka's design. With the whole Daft Punk sort of vibe. I'm gonna love it even more if they make him somehow related to Killer. That's us. What the hell did you do to our shoes? They're stuck to the floor. Dom's shoes can be magnetically disabled at any point while in the laboratory. So you're saying resistance is futile then? I know better than to let my guard down around pirates. Wait, we've already met 2 Vegapunks. That woman and the other one on the speaker. Yes, but I am also Vegapunk. Oh yeah. Yo, Usopp straight on it! Oh yeah, did I forget to mention I'm Vegapunk too? Would you cut it out? Do you think this island looks like the future? It's beyond the future. I mean, just look at those Mecha Sea Beasts. There's also Vega Force 01 and the island's aircon too. This is as futuristic as it gets. I've never seen anything like this place before. For real, what kind of goodies are you making here? I want to take a full tour to take it all in. There's no way you and I wouldn't get along. You mean me? Vega-chan? Oh, Vega-chan. It's actually It's actually quite the contrary. This is an island of the past. This is going to be some ancient kingdom bullshit. Check it out, Chopper. Okay, they're cut to Luffy's group. You can tell because it's all rust and stuff. It's real metal. Another holla holla thing. And not another holla holla thing. What the heck? Could something like this really move? If it could, how is that level of tech possible for something so ancient looking? What do you mean by past? Well, what if I were to tell you that long ago there was once a highly advanced kingdom? Not unlike Egghead when it comes to technology. A civilization from 900 years ago. Would you believe me? 900 years ago? I want to write it. Let's go. What was the world like back then? Are we about to get a fucking backstory on the ancient kingdom because of Vegapunk? Yo, I'm shaking right now. Chapter 1065 end. Yo, hang on. That is absolutely wild. I'm just getting in the hang on. Just hopping in the Discord channel now. Yo, what the fuck? Yo, hey, say hello. Your audio should be on now.
Hello, my audio's on now.
Alright, perfect. I'm turning your volume up because you're a little low. Is that better?
Hello.
Okay, that looks better. What the fuck? Today is crazy for One Piece today.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yo,
I was
Kuma.
surprised because I didn't read it until yesterday, and I was surprised that you didn't send me a message and be like, "Wow, that chapter." I guess that's why, because you didn't read it.
Yeah, well, I've just been on, like, so under the pump at the moment with other stuff. Obviously, traveling, the One Piece Cafe. Like, I didn't end up getting any of the videos I was planning to get done this week just because the trip ended up changing last second and we ended up leaving earlier. So, wild. What the? Like, are we about to get a Void Century flashback?
I am praying for that. I would love that. Even just
Yeah,
a
it'd
glimpse
actually be a
of
good
the
time for
actual
Robin
island.
to go on a dialogue.
I actually think what we could get here is a Void Century flashback, but of 2 perspectives, right? So we've got Vegapunk talking about what the technology suggests. Robin, who's with that Vegapunk at the moment, starts filling in some of the other information because she would have a little bit of info on it. And I think we're going to get nothing to do with Sun God Nika in it, right? Because what'll end up happening is the parts of information they can understand, we may, like, hear bits and pieces, and we may, like, bleed into a flashback that has something more to do with Blackbeard's family line.
Okay.
Because, think of this, right? We got this giant robot here that looks like one of the ancient giants, yeah? This thing, so Vegapunk starts talking about the technology. Robin starts putting two and two together and goes, "Oh yes, then that kingdom is," and maybe she says the name of the kingdom. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Right.
And so while this is happening, and while that discussion is happening, we might have like a mini 1 or 2 chapter flashback, right? Of a little bit to do with the Void Century. And we may see something to do about like like a negative aspect of the D's back then, right? Which could relate to Blackbeard's family tree, which would tie in with when we cut back to the present. The next chapter, say after we cut back, could bleed into Law having lost to Blackbeard, and it's somehow mirroring something from back then. And then when we eventually get to Laugh Tale, it recontextualizes the rest of the flashback.
We also have to keep in mind too that this gigantic statue thing also has a helmet with horns. So maybe even with Kid, maybe something to do with the giants as well.
Well, the island of the future is Baltimore, which was where Frankie went during the time skip. So the fact that they specify here, this isn't the island of the future, this is the island of the past, means this island obviously has connections to the Ancient Kingdom, but obviously we know isn't the Ancient Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at all the junk down here near the giant robot and just thinking how any of that applies to stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah,
I think I see a... I don't know if that's just me that's overthinking it, but I think I see like a bike handle.
See, you see a bike handle. The thing I'm looking at is what looks like a helmet for like the wicker helmet that Law wore in Wano.
Oh yeah,
It looks like
yeah,
that.
the one where he was pretending to be a priest or something.
Yeah, it looks like that but with horns on it. So I'm wondering if maybe that's there's gonna be like a robot priest sort of thing, and that's what that was. And the horns are like for preaching sort of thing. Because Wano is also directly tied to the Ancient Kingdom because of the Kozukis.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if whatever we see here and whatever we see from the Ancient Kingdom has aspects of all cultures we've seen up until now. And this robot here also can explain a little bit of what a lot of us have been talking about, in terms of moving the poneglyphs around the world. They needed giants to move such giant objects. Yo, Ged, good to see you in the chat, my dude. Alright.
Okay. So I don't know, what do you guys want to dissect and elaborate on first?
Alright, I'm gonna dive into one thing first. So we see Seraphim Jinbei.
Yes.
Is Senor Pink dead, or did VEGAPUNK finally clone a Paramecia?
I personally I would think because the Doflamingo pirates have already been captured, I would assume that they took Senior Pink's devil fruit, but that's only due to speculation because again they had Kaido, but I don't know because Paramecias, they're kind of wild in the same that they don't really have a biological trait like in animals that you can easily just copy from. So I would think a Paramecia would be a little bit of a stretch, but then again, it is Vegapunk.
Well, I mean, it's at a hard point in time now because it's like we're at the end of the story, so Oda's obviously started to showcase the fact that he like no longer has an issue with just offing people.
Mm-hmm.
So people have been dropping off like flies recently. This could be the actual fruit, or it could be a copy of the fruit. The it would be interesting if he's able to mimic devil fruit powers, right? And not give them a weakness to water, though.
Yeah, that would be absolutely broken.
And I'd also like to point out, like, up until now in the story, almost every time we see Jinbei fight, he's been severely nerfed because he's fighting on land, when he's even specified he's multiple times stronger in water.
Or just having, like, any massive body of water on hand.
Which I noticed that Jinbei's right arm, has been dissected and he's got a permanent source of water in him. He's also got the Pacifista laser, and because of this fruit, he can make any inorganic material liquefy to use as water.
Yeah, no joke. The Straw Hats would actually be like one of the strongest crews on the water.
Yeah. Dude.
They'd be crazy.
They are busted. Jinbei's got... Oh, this Seraphim's actually terrifying, though, because of that as well. Like
the ship is made out of atom wood, and we still have a giant laser on the front of it that we haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Zoro with projectile slashes. Sanji can just run through the air. Brook can run on the water. Jinbei can go under the water.
Robin can attack you just by standing still.
Yeah, and just looking at you. And then Nami has Zeus that can just be flying around in the air, lightning bolting you. Like, they're actually insane on the water.
And Frankie and Usopp are snipers.
Yeah.
I mean, even Luffy can stretch.
Yeah, I mean, Luffy would just be sitting there doing balloon to, like, bounce everything back to defend the ship. He wouldn't even need to. I mean, all of that offense, no enemy ship is surviving. Even if you can somehow stop Jinbei, you can't stop Zeus plus Brook running on the water plus... Yeah, I don't know. That's just crazy.
It's also interesting that the Seraphim took no damage from seemingly Sanji or Frankie.
Yeah.
Because you see it right down the bottom where they introduce Vegapunk, York, and Shaka again. You see him there again, and he's fine. So if Frankie hit him with the radical beam, his radical beam didn't hurt him, which would mean Kizaru would even have a bit of a difficulty just taking these things out.
So do you know the insane potential that having his fruit plus Fishman Karate gives you?
Dude.
And Fishman Karate with stone, liquid stone.
Not even just that, right? Like, screw stone. What about metal?
Yeah.
And
what if it's not actually water in Jinbei's thing? What happens if it's that memory metal?
Well, it's possible, but I dare say it is water, and the reason it is water is so that he's always got a supply of water to always mimic Fishman Karate, even though his fruit can literally turn the environment into liquid anyway for him to do it, if that makes sense. Because the way the bubbles are being shown is the same as, like, the Seraphim pod tank behind him.
Wait, water and what? What are you talking about?
Look at Jinbei's right arm. His right, our left.
And
he's got like two wristbands around his arms.
It's not a wristband. It's the arm's been cut in half, and they've added a tube of liquid under the skin.
Oh.
Because
which page?
If you go to where we first see Seraphim Jinbei, it's the clearest there, right? Because you see his skin's above the water, Kuma. You see what I mean?
Yep, I do.
So it's the same technology that, say, Vegapunk uses for Yonji, and the Queen used on his neck. But instead of using it to extend your arm, using it to store a permanent source of water for Fishman Karate.
Right.
Which, actually, just re-looking at this, Jinbei turns off his defensive flames to swim.
Oh.
So when Sanji kicks the Seraphim Jinbei and you see that bit of scratch on his chin as well, it's when the flames are down. And then
Okay.
By the end of it, he's still got his flames down though when Frankie attacks him. But that's also interesting because that's one of the big dynamics about the Lunarian DNA, isn't it? With the defensive capabilities.
Yeah.
So he's dropping his defenses to swims because maybe the flames affect the water when he turns stuff to
It
liquid.
could just be like, yeah, it could be like a technical thing where he can't activate his devil fruit while using the Lunarian DNA.
But yo, actually, in hindsight, do you know how scary it would be? Because if he's got Lunarian DNA, because Jinbei can't shave. Jinbei's like Zoro, where he's a heavy hitter that's slower, and it's like he can react to things as quickly as anyone else, but it's like he doesn't just speed blitz stuff. Yo, could you imagine this Jinbei speed blitz, like shaving behind you and hitting you in the back of the head with like like a crazy fishman karate punch? You get sent flying the other way and he shaves back in front of you and then hits you with the other hand covered in magma. Like the fire magma that King makes.
Oof.
Yo, these PXs are fucked.
Yeah, no, I swear to God, man. Like, honestly, I kind of really enjoy that they're here, though. Like, they introduce
Perfect
a
time as well.
genuine, more than lethal threat for any pirate crew at this point, because the Straw Hats after Wano have gotten pretty insane in terms of the power creep. So having something like this, like just one Seraphim, is already tanking shots from both Sanji and Frankie, which are already
So-
like.
I'm terrified of this. Do you know why? And even this chapter, it's been freaking me the shit out because every time I see these things, right, there's one question that comes into my mind: how many of them are there?
Yep.
Because power creep is a real thing, but the world government loves to police things, right? So see here how it says Seraphim number 4,
Mm-hmm.
but at the top of the tank it's tank 98.
Oh.
So other Seraphims split up into categories, say, Mihawk, like all the warlords, right? But like it's no different to how the Germa did it. Because remember how you had the Germa, and on the Germa tanks they had different numbers, but they had batches of different types of soldiers.
Yes.
So there could be multiple Seraphim Jinbeis.
Oh man, that's kind of crazy, actually.
Because see how there's that big Seraphim tank in the middle, but you see other tanks in the background too?
I mean, this is also just. I mean, this is revolutionary. Imagine, like, you're fighting pirates, which of course are sea-dominated, but now you've suddenly got all these Seraphim who are capable of just underwater bashing.
Yeah. Oh, dude, if
Are you talking about the 098
Yeah.
at the top of his?
So there's
That, but if you look to the right of it, there's a percent sign. I think that's like his 98% done.
Ooh, okay. I didn't notice
He's
the
just
percent
being
sign.
created.
Oh, I thought that was just a. Okay, my bad.
Oh, no, that's a good thing to point out. But still, my point still stands. We don't know how many of these there are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Oda has been... Because even though this says Seraphim 04, notice how he's specifically hidden in every example of them being shown so far. He's shown the PX, but he hasn't shown what number they are.
Well, that's the thing as well. And the thing is as well, like... So this guy's Seraphim 4, and he's 98... And let's just say he's 98% complete.
Yeah.
So far, we've seen 3 Seraphims.
Yeah.
So it could actually genuinely be that they've only created 3. Jinbei is the 4th, and he's basically just finished.
Oh!
Being created now.
No.
And maybe there's only 4. Maybe they're not done yet.
We have seen 4. Mihawk, Boa,
Boa, Jinbei.
Kuma. Jinbei.
So
Sorry,
Kuma.
Kuma, and now Jinbei. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So what I mean is like maybe those 3 are the only 3 that exist right now, and then Jinbei's the 4th, and then this whole blab is going to get destroyed, and there'll only be 4. Or maybe there's all of them are finished, and for some reason Jinbei's just the last.
Or it's
Mm.
possible that this is just the latest Jinbei model.
Yeah, or this could be like version 2. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
because
could be an older Jinbei.
they
Yeah,
had...
because like the other ones are older. Like he is distinctly younger than the others.
Well, I mean, first things first, they say that he's already the size of full-grown Jinbei. So
Yeah.
and as we've seen with all the other Seraphim so far, they're tall. They're as tall as their adult versions as kids.
Yeah.
So all of these things are going to get huge, I reckon, to the size of like King, right? According to the Vegapunk as well, they didn't test lasers against this one yet because they do it later because they get stronger when they mature. Right? So even though he's 98% done, he's 98% done as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably goes through like childhood, adolescence, then adult.
Yeah. And he probably gets stronger the same way that, say, King would. And the Lunarian DNA gets stronger over time. The problem I have is if you're right, and it's like, this is, there's only 4 of them, and because Jinbei is the 4th, and it's only 98% done, we're going to destroy the factory before they make more. The problem I have with that, right, is why would they have abolished the Warlords before having a completed product?
Actually, that's true too. Now, if we're thinking of that sense too, why would they want to axe Gecko Moria right off the gate as well? Because could you imagine a Gecko Moria Seraphim where you could actually just control shadows instead?
See, the problem with that is you'd need the Devil Fruit. Because seemingly, right, all the Seraphim we've seen so far don't have Devil Fruits except for the Jinbei one. The Mihawk one, because Mihawk's a swordsman, it's like, he's perfect to just claim that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Boa one already has ridiculously strong Haki, so we haven't seen it use any abilities. But because she's already, like, as a person, she was a strong fighter like Mihawk. You know what I mean? Even without a Devil Fruit, she's ridiculously strong. So it's like if you swapped out the Love Fruit for Lunarian DNA and her skill set.
That's fair.
The one with Kuma kind of makes more sense that he was just a template. You know what I mean? So, and as we saw pre-time skip, they gave him the Kizaru lasers to make up for the fact that he doesn't have the paws. Put Lunarian DNA on that, and it's still really impressive. Because, like, you know how pre-time skip Kuma would, like, blip around and then just slap you and send you into oblivion?
Yes.
If he can still utilize the speed of a Lunarian like King did, he can essentially just shave behind anyone and hit him with a Kizaru laser. Same sort of effects. You know what I mean? Jinbei's one here, being the only one we've seen with a Devil Fruit, I think works because it's too specifically bolstering what makes Jinbei a better fighter from base. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It also, because it also manifests really well with his just biological DNA of being a fish man.
Which is crazy because I could see a potential argument that this is the strongest Seraphim right now. Because although it may not have the willpower of, say, the Mihawk one or the Boa one, we haven't seen these things use Haki yet, but a fishman's already 10 times stronger than a human off jump. So Fishman Lunarian DNA must be like some crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is basically like taking just the best of the gene pool.
Which, I mean, this Seraphim right now has the potential to put in some good running for land, sea, or air. You know what I mean?
Sorry, some lancing what?
Land, sea, or air. The whole Kaido spiel of the strongest. Because this thing literally can fight in the water, on land, and in air.
Yeah, this is probably the pinnacle of the Seraphim, honestly. Like, especially because of just thinking about, like, again, fishmen are 10 times stronger than a human, but also the type of fishman that Jinbei is. He's a shark, which are often regarded as some of the greatest predators in the sea as well.
I would pay so much money to see a scene of this thing where, because it's got the fire magma stuff, right? And because Vegapunk's so smart and we've already sort of seen it. Do you know what would be really cool? If Jinbei, like, if the Seraphim was, like, fighting someone that it's having a hard time beating, so it jumps into the water and shoots out a spear of water, right? And then speed blitzes up into the air and then uses the fire to make a rain cloud like Nami. So it can fight in the rain and then use the raindrops as like bullets and just punch them.
Oh Jesus, that's like thinking like 10 times out of the box, bro.
Oh no, like I'm like just The Seraphim
No,
are
but
already
it's a
really
very cool
impressive.
concept, definitely.
The Seraphim are already really impressive, but like the thing they're saying is like with the whole genetic memory thing here, right? They're gonna start to develop at the same rate as say the Warlords would.
Hmm.
And I mean, like shit, Jinbei's an impressive dude.
Yeah, I would put. Oh gosh, no, I don't even want to go down that territory because I know people are gonna hate me for it.
Oh look, I already cop enough hate. I have Jinbei at like the middle bottom end of the Warlords.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's saying something because I hold Jinbei in a lot of high regards as a fighter. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's just he's in tough company. But yeah, this thing is actually stacked at the moment.
Like, and it was carelessly going about like just owning these guys. Like, it got a hit on Nami. It was about to decimate Robin. It took a skull exploding grass to the face. So it's already got a bunch of resistance against natural, I guess, natural projectiles.
I have just figured something out. I have just figured something out. Oh, I'm smarter than the average bear, boo boo. Okay. So when they first introduced Seraphim Jinbei, right?
Yes.
What number's on the door?
4.
Number
4?
4, yeah? Scroll down to the second last page.
Second last page. Oh,
There's at least 6.
yeah. Behind Frankie, I see a number.
There's 5 and 6.
Number 5. Yeah, 5 and 6.
So there's at least 6 of these things.
Oh, so okay. So which warlords do you think they copied then? Do you think Crocodile? Maybe? He was in prison.
If they've got crocodile, no,
Well,
no.
hang on. The same theory could be true that the 5 and 6 are currently getting
Made.
processed. Yeah.
But say that's at least how many like say the Jinbei, even if it is 98% done. Say the others are
Yeah.
made, they just may not be at 100%. Yeah,
Yeah, they're in production.
right. That means they've started production on at least 6. So there's at least 6 different Seraphim that we're going to see. Right. So say you've got Kuma as number 1, Mihawk is 2, Balrog is 3, Jinbei is 4. Right.
Mm-hmm.
2 left that we haven't seen. I do not think it is Moria.
No, I doubt it.
Because the world government wanted to get rid of Moria for being too weak.
Yeah, and they wouldn't want to copy something off of a has-been.
I also don't think it's going to be Crocodile.
No?
Because it was common knowledge that Crocodile was the weakest warlord pre-time skip. In a sense. Along strong people. I mean, that's why Blackbeard targeted Crocodile. Because he was like, you're the weakest. I could have kicked your ass and took your spot. And it was just bad timing that Luffy beat him first.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
So if it's not Crocodile and it's not Moria,
Yo, we got a Weevil Seraphim coming in.
I'm actually thinking that 5 and 6, it may be the post-time skip warlords, not the pre-time skip. Oh no, but they've got Jinbei. They've got Jinbei. Jinbei was a warlord pre-time skip. So okay, if it is the pre-time skip, we've got to lose 1 warlord. I feel like they would keep Croc over Moria, since they didn't want Moria. Like, the world government itself wanted to scrap him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they wanted Moria dead.
I think something to consider is the like what's the point of having them as like a base plate, right? Like, for example, like you were saying, Boa's a really good fighter and she's got really good haki and stuff. Mihawk's obviously really talented. Jinbei has Fishman karate. Kuma's probably got some crazy poor technique.
And we know he's a different race.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he's a unique race. So I'm thinking like whoever the last two have to be, it would be they have some kind of unique characteristic that makes them good to turn into.
Dofi.
Maybe there's something to do with the celestial dragons that make them.
Well, I mean, look at the celestial dragons that actually put in work. They've all been top tiers.
Mm.
Like Dofi was around the commander level, right? We learned in volume 4 billion that Shanks is a descendant of a Phelan family that's a celestial dragon.
Mhm.
So it's like the two. I mean, even Corazon made it reasonably high up into the Marines.
But I mean, I'd argue that Corazon was more so just deceptive and smart in that sense.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like he took being impaled by law, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and it would make sense too because Doflamingo is currently chained at the bottom of Impel Down. He's a very easily accessible test subject for blood.
And I mean, even the celestial dragons are all, you know, they're all active members of the celestial dragons.
Yeah.
And compared to every other celestial dragon, they actually look like they can throw hands. You know what I mean? And it would make some sense to say, you don't have to go crazy and say they're ridiculously strong, but like they're probably like, you know, they can probably handle like CP0 members themselves. They've probably got like the basics of Rokushiki sort of thing. You know what I mean? Considering at some point in time, someone had to train people to use them.
Yeah, but once they reach that certain threshold, then they'll definitely be able to stand on their own two legs.
So 5 and 6, I'm gonna say one's Dofi because in terms of DNA, he actually has pretty reasonable DNA in him. He's already a tall boy. He could arguably be one of the tallest Seraphim.
Yeah, Doflamingo's like 8 feet tall, I think, or 9 foot.
And you could even
is he
kill
10?
the real Dofi and give the Seraphim his fruit.
Oh, 100%. Like, after what I've seen what these Seraphims can do, I am definitely certain that they can definitely take on most people. Like, even most people on the Straw Hat crew aren't standing up to any of these.
Okay. If these Seraphim aren't 100% complete, and the world government is wanting to bolster them a little bit more, right? What devil fruits do you reckon the world government would target specifically to increase the skill levels of the Seraphim? If they've done like if they say Senor Pink unfortunately has passed away, they specifically took his fruit to the Seraphim Jinbei because it would make him stronger.
I mean, if considering that Doflamingo's crew is pretty much in bars, then you also have the Tun fruit, which, well,
I could see a really good argument for them targeting either Baby 5 or Daz Bones because they're not too strong and they could be potentially taken out, right? To give the Mihawk Seraphim a blade-based ability.
Yeah, that'd be pretty insane.
That would actually be like pretty damn good, would it not?
I mean, yeah, it would. It would basically be the most jacked up swordsman that we've ever seen.
Sixth Warlord. Pre-time skip Warlord. So the last Warlord would have to be Crocodile. Unless they throw a red herring in there. And you've got... Because we don't see 7 of these chambers, do we? We only see 6?
Yeah, we only see 6, from what I can tell.
What if instead of a former Warlord for the last one, they deemed Moria and Crocodile too weak and they used someone else?
Oh.
I know that would be like really like, oh, why would they break the mold for that? But I mean, there's 6, like, and we can see behind where the 6 would be. There's no more rooms seemingly, so I would assume it is capped at 6, right? Could we potentially see maybe an ace Seraphim?
Oh man.
And that would actually be super emotional because then Luffy would have to go through the same thing that Bonnie's going through.
Yeah, and the fact that Luffy essentially probably has to nuke his own brother's clone. Oh, that's brutal.
And it would be interesting as well, since earlier this chapter they're talking about trying to make their own sun or permanent source of fire.
I'm actually curious too. Do you guys think that because the Seraphim are artificially human, but still quote unquote human, do you guys think that Bonnie's power would actually work on them?
Yes.
And she could age them faster or make them younger?
Yeah.
So could you imagine if her being there is probably like a really big blunder as well? Because what happens if, let's say, it gets into a situation where she accidentally ages up a Seraphim into an adult? Like, what happens when she sees like that Kuma Seraphim, and then she decides like, oh, it's you, Papa, and then she just runs up for a hug or something. Then her devil fruit goes awry, and suddenly that Kuma Seraphim goes from young baby boy to big, gigantic, gonna crush you, old man.
Do you know what the problem is with that as well? Hang on. Hang on. The problem with that would be, do you remember the Captain Kobe incident chapter?
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second. I will be able to tell you what chapter it is specifically as well, if you want to reference it.
Yes.
1059.
Okay, 1059. We'll go to. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, I'm in 1059.
The very last part of the page. Like, the very last page.
Yes.
We'll be docking at Egghead Port soon, meaning they dropped off the Boa and Mihawk Seraphim. So the Boa and Mihawk Seraphim are here. They just accidentally walked in on the Jinbei one. And we know the Kuma one's about to be returned. So we're about to be in a situation where there's 4 Seraphim.
Another thing, there's 3 currently active, and then there's 3, if you include Jinbei, currently here at Egghead. It could be that they did them in batches of 3, which means while Jinbei's at 98%, the other 2 would also be at 98%, so they're all basically ready to be activated.
Yeah.
The other 2 could be activated this arc as well.
So,
after what I've seen, man, if the Straw Hat crew somehow is able to defeat 3 3 Seraphim at this point, or like 6 of them, I'm just my mind for power scaling is just going out the window.
Oh, look, it would be possible for them to do it. Because you got what? Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei, right? And then you've got another Supernova and the rest of the Straw Hats to team up on 1 or 2 of them. It is semi-reasonable to be able to defeat.
I think in a high diff fight, Jinbei could take Seraphim Jinbei. Just purely because he's better at... Because the reason that Seraphim Jinbei knows Fishman Karate is because they take a little bit of like the memories and the skills from the person. But they don't take all of it. So even if Seraphim Jinbei is like physically a bit stronger, actual Jinbei has more refined karate.
Yeah.
He actually knows Fisherman Karate. Whereas I imagine like the Seraphim, it's almost like a sense that they have for it. Like they just kind of use it naturally, but they don't really like understand it that well. So yeah, like Jinbei would be able to like predict
they were
what
really
moves he's
born
gonna do.
with, not really learned.
Yeah, exactly. If you're just like naturally good at a sport, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're like able to think about it well and you're always going to be in the right place at the right time and stuff. You can pass well in soccer and you can kick well, but you're not gonna like be there when they need you to be there. You have to have
Ooh,
like a sense for that. That's like an intellectual thing.
something risky as well is Seraphim number 5 might activate next because the Seraphim Jinbei, before Frankie attacks it, when it grabs Usopp, it comes out of Seraphim number 5's room. And if they've got, even if they listen to orders, if they've got a level of autonomy, that one may be curious and come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's also really interesting that there's 6 Seraphim, one for each of the Vegapunks. And with Vegapunk talking about them almost like being on the verge of dying soon, what if Vegapunk uploads his consciousness to the Seraphim?
Right.
That's a potential link there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's weird how like not a lot happened this chapter, but a lot happened.
Yeah, it's one of those muddle through kind of chapters, in my opinion. Like you're kind of just kind of like wading through the water, like it's only up to your waist yet. You're not fully submerged, but there's enough for you to like float around in.
The Seraphim are very, very intriguing to me.
I love the concept for it, man.
100%.
This is probably like, this is why I'm so scared because I'm getting so hyped for these things, but I feel like they're gonna end up flopping and having some sort of ridiculous weakness.
See, I think it's not that they're gonna have a ridiculous weakness. I think they're just gonna be sidelined for fights of either supernovas or the Grand Fleet in a capacity. So, like, we're hyping them up now, even though, like, our main crew can sort of beat them. So that other people that haven't had, like, the how strong are they talks are going to look really impressive later.
I hope so, because this is definitely one of the biggest hype trains that I want to actually reach the station.
The question is, what other modifications have they got? Because I noticed that the Jinbei has the same star eyes as the Boa, which is really interesting because we still know that the Mihawk one doesn't have the star eyes.
Yeah, and this Jinbei did the same thing as all the others when it went when it looked at Nami when
it did the
she
beep,
was like
beep.
twirling her baton and stuff. It went like beep beep and then it turned towards her.
Yeah.
So it's got one of those same programming things as well. So I'm thinking like, because the Pythagoras version of Vegapunk was jotting down data, and they were saying like
we've got to input it.
Yeah, input it. So I'm thinking also like, do they also have like a first-person view of what's going on, not just an outside?
I would say yes, because one, they've got the outside view which they're seeing, but also remember they've got recording devices in them. Because when they attacked, when they first started to attack Amazon Lily, they were told to put on the recording devices.
Yeah.
Very interesting indeed. Just looking back at the Mihawk one at the moment, do you know what's even crazier? It looks like it doesn't have a named sword.
Oh man.
So this is just like a baby Mihawk. Oof.
Baby Mihawk with just a sword that you can grab at like your cheap swordsmith. Oh,
I hope that there's 6 models and that there's more than one pacifista of each model, right? The reason why I hope this is because whatever happens this arc, pardon me, whatever happens this arc, I hope that this is a good way to introduce a couple of good, interesting, high-tier combative obstacles for other people in, say, the final saga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Although it is completely understandable why these things were able to replace the warlords at this point in time. Like, one's already showcased the ability to, you know, split an island in half. And this...
Yeah, I mean... sorry.
And I was going to just say that like, this Jinbei one is almost soloing the entire Straw Hat crew minus Brook, Zoro, and Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Jinbei. It's taking on half the Straw Hats on its own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, one of them was able to leave a injury on Boa Hancock as well, right? Or was she just injured beforehand?
I think she was injured from Blackbeard.
Ah, Blackbeard, okay.
But the other thing is, under where they introduced Dr. Vegapunk Edison, the third Vegapunk.
Yep.
Something that caught my eye is that a diagram of the solar system in the background, or is that a molecule that they're making?
Oh, whereabouts?
So under Dr. Vegapunk Edison, where we've got Vegapunk 2 Lilith, like going in
Oh,
colors.
yeah, you're right.
Because I'm not sure, cause it could be like, oh, this is the radius of our solar system and these are moons and planets. But if you notice that there's like a tracking in between, it's also possible that they've like, that's a zoomed in version of like them messing with atoms and molecules.
Yeah, they could be working on...
I would say maybe Pyrobloin, the stuff from Seastone.
There's also something, another interesting thing as well. When you look at that globe and you look at the left side of it, you see one of those heart monitor things.
Mm. Yeah, actually, good point.
So maybe this thing could be because you've also got a massive like needle pointer right next to the globe as well. I think you're spot on with the idea that it's like some sort of molecule modifier. Maybe this is how they created the Seraphim?
Yeah, potentially. Like those sort of futuristic sort of needle probe electrodes could be like they use energy to like make different atoms connect so that they could say manipulate the lineage factor and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then they're just analyzing it with the heart monitor to see if it's stable or not.
While the Jinbei is fighting. Because you notice they also talk that its heart rate's up to 90 beats per minute. Wherever it says that. Where does it say that? I definitely read that somewhere. I'm not crazy. Hang on. Got to read that again.
Or was it? Oh no, that's BMI.
No, that actually, above or below the BMI, right? In the big panel with the twisted, like the wind up Vegapunk.
Yep.
The bottom left voice box. Green blood concentration has risen, and heart rate is up to 90 BMI, 90 beats per minute.
Oh, okay.
So they are tracking the heartbeat of this Seraphim. Dude, there are so many science Easter eggs in here. You know what I mean?
I'm glad I passed my grade 12 biology.
I need to... Hang on. I've got to go to the beginning of the chapter and work our way through it. Oh, God. I almost forgot that this chapter started off with all the film red stuff. Have you had the chance to see that movie, Cooper?
Yes, I have, actually.
Oh!
I was genuinely blown away. I was very
You just
content
saw
with
it
how it
today.
turned out.
We literally just before starting the stream just got back from going to see it.
Nice.
A little couples date.
It was lovely. We'll finish off this chapter and then we might talk a little bit about Film Red. Because like I said, this chapter was both like there was a lot in it, but also not a lot in it in a weird way.
Time for some filler.
Okay, just going through the beginning. Okay, so we've got Caribou. What are your thoughts on what Caribou's going to do, if anything?
He is most likely going to spill the deeds, or sorry, record everything that's happening here, and then just sell it in the underworld.
He's being made to leave the ship.
Yeah.
Right? So he's going to go on to Egghead and do something.
Do you know what? Unironically, he may stumble into them talking about the Void Century because he already knows about 2 ancient weapons. Imagine if Blackbeard doesn't need the poneglyphs because these guys just keep dragging Caribou all over the New World where they find information. And when he finally escapes, he runs into Blackbeard and immediately spills the beans. That would unironically be hilarious. Okay. The front gate that they can phase through. What do you think that is? Is it a hologram, or like Usopp said, is it that the metal's reforming around them? Because that technology could be really useful for a lot of things.
It's like some like weird, like impossible kind of like object impermanence. Like it exists and then it doesn't exist.
It's like
it's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for Easter eggs in this lab while we're going through. Obviously you got Jinbei with his water wrist strap, flames on the back, and the PX laser. So far, this is my. So far, until the other pacifistas get interesting stuff. Which, by the way, since we saw last chapter, could you imagine Seraphim Mihawk with a lightsaber?
Oh, please, no.
No, that is a possibility at this point. I'm just saying.
Oh, you know what? I want the freaking laser beam to start off like he only has a handle, but then he puts it to the back, and then he just ignites the sword with his flames.
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
I have a flame saber.
Also, surprisingly impressed by Usopp this chapter. Like, I know he still snipes, but he actually, like, wasn't afraid to sort of take on the Seraphim. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This
Robin's stepping up, too.
Oh, Robin just being best gal material. She's just doing her normal vibes. Oh, I didn't even realize this. Usopp's a dick. His jacket, I'm pretty sure his jacket says 556, which I'm pretty sure is the chapter Ace passed away.
Oh!
How?
Can we assume maybe that's a 55G?
Oh, right. No, sorry. SSG. I forgot about the jacket. I did forget about the jacket.
Oh, thank God.
But
I saved you, Usopp.
Chapter 556 is Justice Will Prevail, which... Just looking for Easter eggs in it. It's when Akainu goes down the alley and murks a marine that's running away. Doflamingo's manipulating a bunch of people. I don't know. I think I read that wrong because I'm pretty sure it's SSG. You are right. Sorry. That just took... I'm so used to like the 5-6 stuff because of like the Gomu sort of stuff. So just seeing it there out of the corner of my eye, I was like, wait a second. Wait a minute.
Actually, I wanted to ask you guys this too. So far from the Vegapunks that we have seen, which designs do you guys actually prefer?
Shaka. Shaka's my favorite design through and through. I love 01. And then after 01, I do not really care about any of them, but I will say 2 and 6 seem pretty cutesy chill.
I was kind of surprised by Punk 4 and Punk 3. Like I like Edison because I like the idea that he's got a plug on top of his head, and in order to like when he really needs to unload a lot of data, he just finds the closest socket and shoves his head in.
I like how he looks like a wind-up toy. He kind of reminds me of 343 Guilty Spark
Ah.
from Halo, if you know what I'm talking about. Like he just like the little like number 4's orb head. I would laugh if he's like, oh, I've really got to see this. I don't have time to walk over there. He just jumps in the air and his head just floats over. You know what I mean? Because it looks like he's got like retractable legs and that. Number 3 just looks like Stewie Griffin.
Oh no! Don't do him like that.
The evil genius footy head sort of vibes. You know what I mean?
But he actually looks to be a little bit more the sane of the group because when he's talking with Punko too, he's kind of defending like ripping the enemy's head off. That's a little too brutal.
Look, I'm just gonna say it, right? If he says what the deuce, I'm just gonna say the headcanon is it's like Stewie's ancestor in some capacity.
I want this now.
But yeah, I like 01's vibe. I like the whole Daft Punk for VEGAPUNK. Although we still haven't seen the original body, so I've got a feeling that the original body is going to be maybe something a bit cooler in a weird way. I don't know, because it depends on the flavor. But I will say the interesting thing so far is at the moment it's an even split of 3 female personalities and 3 male personalities.
Yeah.
So it's keeping VEGAPUNK very even in thoughts and views and stuff like that, and perspectives, if that makes sense.
Hey, oh gosh, I don't know if I can squint in that far. You know when they're after 06 finishes her meal and then you've got a bunch of those like little, or no, while she's eating and then you've got a bunch of those things with the food carts.
Yep.
There's some sort of lettering on one of their on one of the kids' hoodies.
QUONTY.
Oh,
Quanti.
okay.
I don't know what Quanti is, but it says Quanti.
Maybe it's a reference to something.
I think the jackets in the past had something to do with their professions. So maybe we're missing some more of the lettering for it. From like around the back of the head, you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. Maybe it's like for quantity or something. I don't know. Everything to do with this island is speculation at this point.
Oh, definitely. I'm curious as to how this Vegapunk 06, is the digestive tract for all the other Vegapunks. Because to me, that means they've got to do something like mimic Law's ability to separate people, but still have them connected, even though they're not physically connected.
And the fact that it's different vessels essentially. It's not like you've just separated like the same body. They're all their different kind of entities at once.
So I'm wondering if it's like Vegapunks 1 to 6 have been grown or created, same style as say the Seraphim sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their knowledge on devil fruits has allowed them to mimic Law's or Buggy's devil fruit, where all of them share the same brain and digestive tract.
That is true because the world government was already aware of the Ope Ope no Mi, so maybe it would make sense that they would have some information on it.
Another crazy possibility that I don't think anyone's actually ever thought of is, especially with the way it's been talking about, I mean, it's possible that Vegapunk had the immortality surgery performed on him by Law, like the previous user of the Op fruit. And then that's why they're so smart.
Are we gonna finally get like a flashback of a husband and wife where the wife actually has a reason for disappearing?
Who knows? Who knows? But I'm curious. I've got a feeling that next chapter we're gonna just go into some of the Void Century stuff, which is crazy to hear about.
I would love that very much so.
But maybe not into. Maybe into the Void Century, but not into the Ancient Kingdom stuff. So it's going to be talking about how there's evidence that a kingdom existed that was really advanced, that was connected to all these locations, and it's going to run through a list of places that it was potentially connected to.
It's just, I'm just curious because the size of this giant, or quote unquote, yeah, this metal robot that Luffy found, like, if you look at the scale of it, it's definitely a giant.
Oh, it's more than a giant. It's ore size.
Is this like ore size? Yeah.
Because you got Luffy running on it, on its stomach, but Luffy is about the size of its eye. Right?
I'm just tripping out because I'm thinking...
And this is only the torso.
Yeah. So, was this essentially the race before the giants?
Or were there no different to how there's like mechanized? So okay, you know in the NL cover story how there's the mechanized
yes,
robots
created by the Burkas.
Right. What if for each race that exists there was a mech?
Oh, there was a mechanical counterpart?
Yes. Because the technology was so advanced back then that they just had the ability to make mechanical variations of different people for different reasons. So those ones that we see in the NL cover story could be Tontada mechs. You know what I mean? And then say this is a giant mech. And then if Vegapunk's replicated like the human mechs, and that's like the pacifistas as we see them at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
That, or we're about to find out that this is like Oars Senior. I don't know, like, because we're sitting in a really odd spot, right? Because I think, from what we know of the story, right, the Ancient Kingdom actually had a straight line of allies down the entire Grand Line. If that makes sense.
Okay. So they literally made a Grand Line.
Yeah. So the first major kingdom at the end, roughly, of their organization is Alabasta. Right? Now, you know the giant river that's at Alabasta?
Yes.
It's the Shandian River. Or the Sandorian River. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of those two. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you leave that island in that direction, you go to Jaya and Sky Island, which is Shandora, which also had a poneglyph, and back then was on the ground, on the Blue Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think between there and the Grand Line, we don't know which countries are on that same log post path, because when we got to Sky Island and we came off Sky Island, we actually veered to a different path. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
So there would have, if you had kept going on the log posts on the sea level, you would have gone Alabasta, Skypiea, or Jaya, or Shandora, and then follow through to another place. But that line got broken for us pre-time skip, and we had the whole Marineford detour, right? We pick that line up again when we get to Fishman Island. But once we get past Fishman Island, we get into the New World, we actually get to another problem where the Yonko are reigning, and we don't know where the Ancient Kingdom is, but the Ancient Kingdom say is arguably Laugh Tale, right? and
Mhm.
we know that poneglyphs have been moved from their islands to the Yonko territory. We know Wano had poneglyphs on it to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So there was at least 1 or 2 poneglyphs in Wano. I'm thinking there were 2. Was it there was 2?
I think there were 2, yes. But there's also the poneglyphs on Zoe as well, right?
Yes, which is we know was an ally, but we also know 800 years ago Zoe committed a crime and was forced to roam the sea. Right?
Maybe.
So the problem is, right? If you actually just putting it out, right? After Fishman Island, you know how we've got the log poses and they point to 3 different paths, or
Yes.
potentially more. And we went to Punk Hazard, but there were the other 3 islands that all had issues with them.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember Jinbei's cover story, Jinbei leaves Fishman Island, but while traveling undersea, in his cover story, comes across a sunken island that's no longer got a log pose bearing, that has a poneglyph.
Yeah.
So to me, it would go Fishman Island, that kingdom that was sunk, right? And then the closer you get to Laughtale itself, the less of a straight line it is, and the more they also picked up on their neighboring islands, which would be places like Wano and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Maybe Wano and Elbaf, you know what I mean? So it's like, wherever Laughtale is, say in a bubble around them, they were allies with all of them, and then in a straight line down the rest of the Grand Line, they're allied. And then once they hit the end of the Grand Line and they get to Reverse Mountain, we know that there were poneglyphs in the 4 blues, right? Because O'Hara had one itself. So maybe it gets to the end there and they're like, oh, okay, let's explore the world and we'll send, a group off into each corner of the sea. And the same sort of thing happened, where they branch out. So, I don't know. I felt...
no, that's definitely something interesting to dwell on.
Because I think the interesting thing about that is as well is you can see shared cultures and stuff like that in those pathways, in a sense. And we don't see it in Wano now, because Wano now isn't the Wano that existed back then. You know
True,
what I mean?
yeah. Wano kind of became homogenous after it closed off its borders.
And they flooded in what was the island originally with Pluton, so we don't know what necessarily is going on there. But okay, say arguably you've got Fishman Island with Poseidon, then if you're at wherever Laughtale is, say you've got like the red line to your back and you're looking back into the entryway towards Fishman Island, right? I could see that on the right side of the New World is Wano with Pluton. On the left side, maybe Elbaf with what's the last one? Uranus, right? Uranus, and then
Uranus.
and then Fishman Island with Poseidon in front. So you've got like an ancient weapon to the front, right, and left. You know what I mean? Each one of your major key allies, which, would be whatever sort of thing. And then you can just like go down and see how the cultures leak into each and every place. Not just with, say, the Kozuki writing of the poneglyphs, but you've got connections like the Shandorans and the Alabastian people. They've got the Shandorian River in Alabasta, but their flags also have like a sun on it. And since Joy Boy seemingly was like a major leader of the ancient kingdom, that sun symbol could link a lot of allies together because of the sun god. If that makes sense.
No,
Okay.
this is making too much sense. My tinfoil hat is starting to tremble.
There's a lot of weirdness in it. Like, so the Alabaster flag is... Oh, okay, perfect. So you got the Kozuki family crest. So you know how it's got a swan in it? It's also got a sun in the middle with 8 dots around it. On Shandora, there are shields surrounding the place with a sun in it and 8 dots around it. You've got the same king for a bunch of different kingdoms, including Alabasta and other places. You know what I mean? So it is
Yeah.
like, and now that we know that Luffy's sun god Nika, there's a lot of other potential stuff linking that. Even Neptune, right, has a tattoo with like 8 satellites around it, and in the middle, although it may not look like it 100%, it almost looks like there's a flame drawn. Not Poseidon, Neptune. Neptune. Did I say Neptune? I meant Neptune. So, I don't know. It'd be really interesting. To see how they wrap all that stuff up, and if they start to address that stuff now. You know what I mean? Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent on my part there. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about this chapter before we move on to some Film Red stuff?
I'm pretty happy with this chapter. I remember I had a theory ages ago that Vegapunk wasn't actually that smart, which is wrong. But I thought the reason that I thought that was that I thought he just found a bunch of ancient technology and came out with all these like he was smart, just like he wasn't dumb. He just isn't like an absolute super genius. Just that he found all of this like ancient technology and he just like copied it all basically, and everyone started saying that he's like super like beyond his time. I think it's like reality he is super smart. It's just he also did happen to find a bunch of ancient technology. But yeah, it is interesting that like a lot of the stuff that he's invented is him just like recreating stuff that already existed. And as we saw in Film Red, with that song, that was essentially ancient.
Yeah, okay.
Ancient people.
Let's
seems like they were crazy strong. I mean, they had the 4 weapons. They had that song as an example, and they had basically all of the technology that Vegapunk is inventing, except had more because Vegapunk's saying that he's essentially just relearning what they knew. So, like, they had even beyond Seraphim, for example.
Are we going to get an Adventure Time ending to this where it turns out this is like Earth thousands of years in the future?
Oh, god.
Nuclear apocalypse and all.
That would be pretty dope.
That would be interesting.
I mean, oh, gosh, you know what? I kind of want to like just a scene of like maybe if they do get a glimpse of the future, but it's them just driving around in cars and then like going to like just the nearest fast food restaurant. Could you imagine? Just modern day people going on escalators in a super mall.
Alrighty. Sorry, I'm just getting some stuff ready to talk about the film.
Ah, yes. The Uta.
Yeah, so Film Red was ridiculously good.
Red.
Obviously, having just seen it, I've got to ask, first things first, favorite moment in the movie, and then favorite song.
I don't. Oh man, I don't really have one, honestly. Like maybe I'd have to rewatch it a second time to get my biases out of the way. But I was just so impressed by the whole thing that I can't really narrow it down.
My favorite song was the Top Musica. That went hard.
Yeah, that was good.
And I'd been listening to that before I'd seen the movie, just like it had popped up in the past. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I love how they incorporated music in that movie. It worked out well. Although I will say sometimes like the CGI aspect of it, it did feel really Eagle Singer, which I can't complain about, even though it's not my sort of genre, just because it's the
It is a thing. You're like, you know what I mean? Yeah. If you were into it, you would have really liked it.
yeah.
But it's just not really into it.
Although that being said, like mad detour here, but the hockey feats in that movie are absolutely like they're bullshit AF.
It's a good thing they're not canon.
Oh man, I'm waiting for something like that to come canon. Because like the second that vindicates like an ability from that movie, it's gonna be ridiculous. Although, spoiler alert, right? We're warning you. We've warned you well and truly by now. Usopp meeting Yasop again, as well, through their observation haki. That was both a beautiful moment, and the fact that their observation haki and Shanks's and Luffy's lets them see through dimensions is absolutely bullshit.
And the fact that like Yasop could already do that, right? Like when
Yeah.
when Usopp made the connection, he's like, "Oh, finally, you figured it out, kid."
Yeah.
He'd just basically been waiting, being like, "Hello, hello, anyone there?"
He's like constantly tabbing the same like number on the rotary dialer on the phone, just waiting for Usopp to get that one number right.
Oh man, dude, imagine how BS it would be now if you got like the Door fruit or something like that, and you're like, haha, I'm gonna sneak up on Yasop, piece of shit. And Yasop's just like turns around and starts talking to you like you're just in the normal world. He's just like, dude, I can see you. What do you think you're doing? Get out of here. Get your ass out of here.
By the time you already open up the door, you got a pistol on your forehead.
I think it was also really interesting that everyone other than Usopp that could see through dimension were confirmed as future sight seers. So, although they could only do it for a few moments seeing into that world, that may be like a sub branch of the future sight. You know what I mean?
I gotta say though, I find it so random that Katakuri just showed up like right at the very end, did like a little combo attack and then just left.
Honestly, guys, that was a fan service moment, but I'm happy it was there. It was
I like
100%
the whole
fan service moment.
Oven is there and Brule is just like, "Oh no, I want to go back and see Katakuri," and then Katakuri is like, "I'm here to save my sister," and then Oven's just there in the corner.
Oven's just like, "Yo, sis, you dogging me? You dogging me or what?" We also and there's like a small scene of this, and this also links into One Piece Volume 4 billion as well. We get the whole Shanks backstory of him being found in a treasure chest at God Valley by Roger and Rayleigh, which also confirms that Rayleigh was at God Valley.
Yeah.
And how Shanks finds Uta the exact same way, which is crazy. Also, the fact that Shanks is confirmed as member of the Celestial Dragons, being a member of the Phelan family, is pretty crazy. Also, just a side note, I don't know about you guys, I feel like that movie heavily was doing some Kobe damage control, or like hyping Kobe up as a really good leader. Like he took mad lead in that movie.
I mean, hey, he's a hero.
Yeah, but like, dude, there are outright people with Conqueror's haki that were more bitches in that movie than him. Like, he straight up
something to give you.
Okay.
When Shanks did his big Conqueror's haki blast, Kizaru just kind of like chilled. He just stood there. But Fuji was a little bit like, "Oh, this is tough."
I know the scene you're talking about. First things first, thank you for not shitting on my boy Kizaru.
Took out Momonga. It took out Momonga, or at least like mostly incapacitated Momonga.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fuji is kind of like there, like going, this is like a bit like he's not taken out. Of course, he could fight, but like he's a bit pushed by it. And Kizaru's just chilling, like, "Oh wow, You're even getting vice admirals. That's pretty cool.
How I interpreted that scene from Fuji's perspective is Fuji is just always on the how can we do this without
Being fired
fighting?
up. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's on that peaceful mindset because it's part of his character to be like, do we really want to fight here? So I think him, like Shanks using his observation haki and everyone else going down, Fujitora capitalized on that to be like, we better withdraw. You know, we've got to save the civilians and our men. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just mean like him stumbling back and being like having that thing to his voice change. You know, he's like, oh, this was. Meanwhile, Kizaru is like literally as calm as he's ever been.
Oh, dude, Kizaru. I'm not gonna lie though, when Shanks was chasing Kizaru, putting the blade to his throat, I was like, I'm gonna be hearing about this.
I know.
I'm gonna be hearing about this one.
You and I was like, you see this? You seeing this? Watching this? Huh?
I watched Shanks be unable to tag Kizaru. That's how I interpret that scene.
Oh, yeah? I watched Kizaru put his hands up to the second one of the red hair pirates.
Yeah, but then at the end when Shanks got serious, Kizaru was there, just like hands in pocket, feeling his balls, just like, yeah, I don't know, might kill your daughter in front of you.
Just saying, who else? They're getting heavy.
Yeah.
Run out of hands to hold them with.
They look. They did a good job hyping up Shanks though in that movie. That
is the most political way of...
No, they did a good.
Look, they did a really good job hyping him up.
They did a good job hyping him up.
They did a great job of making him seem stronger than he is. It was really good. Well done.
The problem is Shanks also did nothing in that movie while doing everything in that movie. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like outside of a couple of bursts of Conqueror's haki, Shanks didn't use any form of haki in that movie.
Nope.
Despite him being shown activating his flaming sword, which is also confirmed in chapter 4 billion, that he has a sword that he can just ignite with fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
He activates it and then never uses it.
Mm-hmm.
He just did a lot of standing around taking punches from random civilians while he's just contemplating whether or not he helps people or murders everyone.
See, Shanks has anti-plot armor because if he were to fight, the movie would be over.
See,
Yeah.
He slashes through dimensions, ends the movie. He just breaks the fourth wall.
He comes out of the movie theater screen,
Comes out.
buys popcorn, then returns back to his world saying it's a job well done. They've been entertained.
GG smiles, everybody. We won. Everybody's dead, but we won. Oh, hang on. Daniel, your mic's giving a little bit of feedback, my dude. That is better.
I thought it was just me. Thank God.
No, that's all good. I just picked up on it then. Also, they only show up for like a fraction of a second, and it's a miss it moment. They also, again, confirm it in chapter 4 billion that Shanks had a 1 bill 4 mil bounty in the flashback time period.
Yeah.
In that flashback, he looked like really young when he first got Uta. He looked like seriously like younger than Luffy.
He was.
I knew that Ben was older than him, but Ben is like a full-on adult, and he's an actual kid in that.
Shanks.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I think was. Shanks is 40 now. That was 12 years ago, so he would have been 28.
Still reasonable.
That's way older than what he looked like.
Oh, definitely. He's
looks like Asta's age.
Yeah. No, I get.
Looks like he's just fresh out of college.
But I will say at that point in time as well, right? He was 19 during the whole end of Roger's era, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he looked really young at like 19, 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like him and Buggy on Roger's ship were almost 20.
Pretty crazy.
But dude, I wanted, and I was a little salty, we never got to see Howling Gab do his howl. They even started teeing it up, and then they're just like,
Mhm.
don't
They
fight the
teased it
civilians.
twice.
Dude can do like a voice, like a mouth-made Kamehameha blast. I'm keen to see this. I was also being told about the movie and stuff like that, and like the information that was coming out. I was expecting to see a little bit more from the red hair pirates. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, who was the guy that attacked alongside Jinbei?
Is that the doctor? The blonde one? If you look at the front,
Like
okay.
hit ball or something.
Yeah, okay. So if you go to the beginning of the chapter, you can see all the red hair pirates there. Is it the dude that was next to Lucky Roo? The doctor? Lime juice?
Let me see.
Oh, sorry, not lime juice. Hang on, his name.
Got a squint.
Hang on.
I don't know. I can't recognize it now.
I'm pretty sure so you're looking at the cover page for Film Red, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the guy next to Lucky Roo.
Yeah. I think it was him. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just got to double check. His name is Hongo, right? That ball that he hit was Lucky Roo.
Oh.
So Lucky Roo jumps up and because apparently he fights by like spinning really fast like a bowling ball.
It's like Fat Sonic.
Yeah, dude is overweight Sonic, right? So
Choji?
Hongo hits him flying into the top musica at the end. Actually, while I got that up, I should be able to look it up. So, Lucky Roo fights by doing that. Yasop apparently has future sight better than Katakuri. Which, I mean, you kind of see in this movie since Katakuri said he could see a few seconds into the other dimension. Whereas Yasop is like waiting for Usopp to pick up that he's like using observation haki to see in the other dimension. Busted
I
AF.
see in the other dimension all the time. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Lime Juice. How did Lime Juice fight? Lime Juice is an officer of the Red Hair Pirates, giving him authority.
Tell you what, it kind of made me depressed being able to see a few seconds in the future all the time, because it would almost be like what you're seeing isn't real because it hasn't come true yet. Then once it does come true, it's kind of like
you spoiled it.
Watching a show that's been spoiled. Yeah.
Yeah, could you imagine sitting in the crowd and then just knowing the finale before it happens?
Yeah. And then you would see it and you wouldn't care that much. It's almost like when you see a spoiler, you go, "Oh, damn, that happens," but it's not like as exciting as if you read it as it happens.
So Lime Juice, right, is the guy that's next to Rockstar down the bottom right of the poster. He fights with a electric staff, and apparently does a lot of aerial combat stuff.
Right.
Then you've obviously got Lucky Roo, who jumps around like a bowling ball. Hongo. Let's have a look at Hongo. Hongo apparently... Hongo is the doctor of the crew. So, doctor's orders are to beat the shit out of Lucky Roo into people. Apparently he's a weapons expert, and he's a master at dismantling weapons. And he seems to be a quarter staff user. So he fights using a pole. Then we've got Bonk Punch, which is the dude with the monkey, and the monkey is an officer as well. Bonk is apparently capable of charging up and unleashing devastating punches and counter punches. And apparently he runs around and lets a monster deal with everyone else that is weak enough to be taken out by a monster while he charges up like punches. So I'm going to say he's like the discount version of Jesus Burgess.
I'm thinking of like that King dude from Dressrosa.
Yeah, probably. Probably like that. But I could see an argument that he's probably a bit weaker than them.
King Elizabello, I think.
Still, like, he probably can do it quicker than them, but they're a bit weaker, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you got Gab, who can send out the projectile voice sonic blasts, which is amazing. I love that. He's the dude next to Katakuri. And then the last one is Building Snake, the dude next to Yasop in the image. And apparently he's an acrobat who uses two-sword style and juggles swords while fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Which would I'm a little upset because when we got this information in Volume 4 Billion, I was expecting to see a lot more of it in the movie. And I don't even think we got to see
missed opportunity. 3-sword style, but he juggles all 3 swords, and then when he sees Zoro holding the sword in his mouth, he's like, "Oh, that's a good idea."
Well, he's a two-sword style user for now, but that would be funny if he sees Zoro with the third sword and he's like, oh, "I need to up my game." Comes across
That's
Hachi,
what I mean,
he's like 8-sword
because
style.
I can't imagine. So he's 2-sword style, but he juggles swords.
Yep.
Does that mean he has 2 swords and he kind of throws them in the air randomly?
Yeah.
Or does he have like 5 swords, but he's always holding 2? You know what I mean?
I would probably view it more as he's got 2 swords and like he'll swap hands with the swords all the time, throwing them up and distracting people. You know what I mean?
Right. I think it'd be cool if it would basically be the same thing, but it's like he uses 3 swords, but he always juggles them, so he's just always swapping swords, and then he sees Zoro and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can just hold it in my mouth, can't I?"
Also, we
Feels
didn't
like he's all useless.
we didn't get to see it in the movie, but like I've said in the past, it was revealed in Chapter 4 Billion that Shanks has the ability to like stop people's observation haki, which again is actually pretty impressive in the movie in terms of like if he did that to say like Kizaru or Fujitora, because like boys still showed up, and although they didn't get like a look, the movie wasn't called One Piece Film Yellow Monkey, all right, or One Piece Film Blind Dude, right?
Film Blind Monkey.
But I will say is like the fact that they turned up against Shanks was like it was a reasonable stalemate, if that makes sense. Although I will say Fujitora having to fight all the civilians at the beginning of the movie was like I really like that. Do you guys remember that scene?
You mean when Fujitora was basically like going over the entire island and just
so it was just after it was revealed that Uta had everyone in sort of like a genjutsu.
Yeah.
And all the civilians start getting up and like taking over all the other Marines, and Fujitora's just there, just like blocking everyone, and then as he's blocking them, he's using the gravity to just like drop them one after the other painlessly while he just sort of like walks away gently. Which
no, I remember that.
Which, dude, Fujitora, bro, y'all need to get out of there because you already can't see. You can't afford not to not hear, right? And the technology they had like self-replicating headsets to cancel out noise and cover their eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
VEGAPUNK tech that could come back into the story.
I would like that very much.
Because Oda kind of tends to like have a handful of really random stuff from the movies tie back into canon, and it's always stuff that's like really like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Another thing in the movie is Big Mom was alive.
Yeah.
Now I know these take place in an alternate timeline, but I don't know. Is there hope for the big bitch?
I don't know. It's weird. For pretty much the entire movie, I'm thinking, okay, it must be 410, but after Whole Cake. And then right at the end, he goes Gear 5, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, it's
just
because
remember, boys, non-canon. Just remember, non-canon.
All these movies being non-canon sort of like is a blessing and a curse. Because like obviously they got Jinbei with them, so it has to be after Wano. Zoro had Enma, so it's got to be after Wano. But at the same point in time, I mean, and Luffy with Gear 5. But at the same point in time, it's like, Mama, you alive?
I mean, another good example of this is when they did what was it, One Piece Film Stampede? Like when they had like Basil Hawkins already pulling out that straw man guy, but we hadn't even gone into Wano yet,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
you,
no.
you gotta take it with a grain of
No,
salt.
no, no. We
but
were in
the
Wano.
salt that you want.
We were in Wano for Stampede, just not in the anime.
Ah, okay.
But it like the movies are always been non-canon. I think the best examples are the movies normally having like outdated bounties, like the Straw
Yeah.
Hats having the outdated bounties from Dressrosa, like from before Dressrosa for Film Gold, right? And then Film Z. Oh mate, I love Film Z. Me and you, Daniel, we've got into ours. One of the first videos on this channel was dissecting all the Easter eggs in Film Z that Oda incorporated at the time, because it was the first, since Strong World, it was the first movie he put his hands on. And yo, if you go back and relook at that movie, it ages beautifully.
It does.
I don't know if you've seen it recently, but it's the first time in the series that the animation for Future Sight and Advanced Rio is used. And it's not stated to be either of them at the time. It's also, you know, like, again, we're talking about how it's in like an alternate timeline. Frankie has upgrades from after fighting Queen, seemingly, in that movie. Because he's got the, you know, his radical beam.
He does heaps of fire breaths, which I don't remember him doing very often.
He does it.
Fresh fire.
He does it like a few times pre-time skip. He's done it like never
Yeah.
post.
Yeah, like I know he's done it before, but I was like, this is weird because it was like multiple times. He's like, because I'm thinking, like, you know, they play him all stylized. He's spinning around. And he's like, oh, my attack time. And then he just does like a fire breath. And I'm like, why not a laser? This has been your whole thing.
I did love how they were teeing him up versing Oven though,
Yes.
True.
because like they kind of naturally fit against each other in the crew. So it felt nice to see that sort of play.
Cola versus Heat. Oven punches Frankie and he just boils up his cola to an all new maximum.
It just makes him even stronger. He's super fired up.
Super Fizz.
Oh damn, that was a good movie. Honestly, the last 5 One Piece movies have all been great.
They have been.
Or I say last 5. I mean Strong World, Z, Gold, Stampede, and Red. All like those 5 are like the golden pentagram of One Piece movies, which is crazy because this may be the last One Piece movie we get while the actual main series is coming out.
Yeah, seems likely.
Maybe we get one more movie, but
maybe that one last movie's kind of just like a, I guess more so just a teaser for,
the
or
end of the
maybe
story.
more so like an aftermath wrap up, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do next. I would love a bunch of tie-in movies and stuff like that, especially with where we are in the story. It would be really good if we started getting OVA movies about stuff, because like Film Red, it's like sitting at one of the best rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment. And it's been an like top 10 grossing Japanese movie of all time. It has been absolutely smashing it out, which, you know, there's so much hype around it and stuff like that. But I feel like as good as Film Red was, like, dude, could you imagine getting like a Roger movie, a Garp movie, a Rox movie,
a pre Seven Warlord movie?
Yeah, pre-7 Warlord movie, the duel between Akainu and Aokiji as like a perspective film sort of thing. Any of the Supernova's backstories, or even if it was like a short, a limited.
Even if it's just like a half-hour thing.
Well, I was gonna say, like, imagine a limited run where it's like it's the length of a movie, but it's like 8 shorts about all the backstories, the main backstories of each of the Supernova.
I would love that.
You know what I mean? And it's like how like because we know most of their backstories now through SBSs, but it's like just getting a clean run of that would be like
Yep.
crazy interesting. Even
Getting
getting
proper context.
even getting the Ace manga and novel as an anime adaptation or a film adaptation would be breathtaking. Like One Piece, as good as the main story is, they have the best potential from a franchise standpoint to do other stories at the moment.
This is a franchise where microtransactions could actually work.
I mean, I'm actually upset that something like Pirate Warriors 4 didn't get a better, long-lasting live-action service. Like, I would have happily paid for more characters to be added or variations on characters, like where it changes their movesets or adds new super moves and stuff like that in there. Like, I don't know. I would like a One Piece game where it's like a platform thing, where I don't need to keep buying new games for it. It's not like a mobile tap and go game, like an actual like fighter explorer sort of game. And it's like I'd happily pay for more DLC and stuff like that. Like there's 1,000+ characters. If they brought out characters and you could just pay for whatever characters you wanted specifically, I feel like a lot of people could get into that.
Yeah, but to be fair though, like One Piece doesn't really have the greatest track record when it comes to a video game franchises.
Oh no, but do you know the perfect game for it? I've always thought this. Have you ever played Shinobi Striker?
No, I haven't really delved into a lot of Naruto games.
Okay, Shinobi Striker is like the Naruto version of Xenoverse, right?
Okay.
But the way it does it is really good, in my opinion. Where so if they did a campaign that is co-op, accessible, drop in, drop out play, like a Lego game back in the days, I feel like that style would work really well for One Piece, where you start your own crew, you go out and explore, and they could just explain it away as you eat a devil fruit, and it's the copy fruit, where you can copy abilities from other devil fruits. Right? So you can, have an inverse explanation for learning the moves of different characters in the story. Right? So it's like, if you beat a boss, you can unlock their moves and abilities.
Oh, so kind of like Mega Man.
Never play that, but sure. Right? And then if you had the multiplayer separate to that, where you've got, you can either have, like a team deathmatch, battle royale, or objective-based games, where you can either select characters, and so say you can spawn in as just generic, pre-made characters, or it's like you can play as a Zoro build, right? Where you've got, certain, like, and the only customization is like what skins he has, right? But they bring out, say, variations on those characters where you've got like, Zoro version A, B, C, and it's like changes his whole moveset.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That way, because as much as it would, like, a lot of people would probably get pissed off going, oh, you're bleeding a lot of money out of it. It would be something where it would be really easy to be like, the game can be updated really easily and reasonably to include new characters and new abilities, while at the same point in time, you don't need to buy a brand new game for a new form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, for me, it's like, dude, Pirate Warriors 4, loved it. It was great. I was a little upset that it only had 6 arcs in it, whereas the previous ones had every other arc. And it was like, the gameplay for it I actually thought was really good. I just thought it could have been a lot better if it had better multiplayer, a better multiplayer live service, a blocking feature so you could defend. But, like, dude, could you imagine how good it would be if you had, like, a hero-based game and say, because I know you love Hawkins, right? So say each character has their own generic fighting style, and then say 3 special moves, and each variation of that character that comes out, you get a new set of 3 separate moves. In the campaign, you can take those separate moves and like map them to your character, which would be cool. Or for the multiplayer, obviously you got like variations on characters and abilities and stuff like that could be really well controlled and balanced for multiplayer. Like, could you imagine coming in as Hawkins, right? And his whole thing is you've got, say, one of your specials locks onto a character, right? And then your other special is a counter of, 10 or like a certain percentage of damage, right?
Oh, that'd be cool.
And then as you get damaged, it diverts it to the person you've locked onto, no matter where they are.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Right? But obviously, it's got like a cooldown where, say, it hits a certain threshold and it kills that enemy. You've now got a cooldown before you can lock onto the next person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to keep it balanced. And maybe you can only use it 10 times per match.
That way you could 10 times per life or something like that, and it takes a certain amount of damage. And say the allies, there could be a revive mechanic, who knows, whatever works or doesn't work, right? But I feel like stuff like that would work so well for the One Piece world, and because the abilities are so diverse, you could add in and take out abilities if they don't work for the mechanic. And that's sort of something that they do really well in Shinobi Striker, where each character's got a left bumper, right bumper, and a D-pad special, right? And obviously you can map them to the character, sort of thing. But it makes it really good for using very unique and very special powers and stuff like that, right? And okay, say you want more creativity. Imagine if you unlock a character, right? Say you've got to pay DLC time to time for them to update moves for those characters. So certain characters may get more love. So like the Straw Hats, we see a heap more moves from the Straw Hats than we do for other characters, right? So say the Straw Hats come with like 50% of their move sets available, and it's like they've got generic abilities from each thing. So it's like Sanji's got like Diablo Jambe, Ifrit, and like a handful of moves from each. But like DLCs come out where it's like, hey, a bunch of new skins have come out for this character, and we're going to include this very specific move. And this move does this sort of mechanic in the game. They could do that really well, I reckon. The fact that Bandai's already done it for another franchise shows to me that they can do it really well. But the problem is they're terrible at managing campaigns and managing live action services and multiplayer connectivity. Like, trying to squad up in Xenoverse, Pirate Warriors 4, even Shinobi Striker can be an absolute nightmare. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But could you imagine that? Because then slowly over the course of a few years, you could get nearly 1,000 characters worth of people added to the game, sort of thing. And just pick and choose who you want, because everyone's also always got people that they care about and don't care about in these things. So you could actually have you could get someone because you want their moves, or you could get someone because you're like, I love this character, I just want to be able to play as this character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It could be really fun. But I feel like that's something they've just never had the guts to do.
I've always wanted to pick up a One Piece game, but I'm well aware of like the limitations that come with them, which is why I'm thinking like, I'm gonna end up buying this and then wishing for more, but I know I'm not gonna get any more.
I say, okay, my favorite One Piece games, and I'm not including One Piece Treasure Cruise, although I've been in that, I've played that game since launch. I've lost my account 3 separate times, and I've still got like 50 6-star characters in that game.
I lost my account again, and I'm just not.
You don't have it in you to restart
See,
again.
you can't do it, man. There's like some subconscious sentimental value into the grind, and once you lose it, you're just.
I log in now and then.
It's not the same when you try to grind a second time.
For probably the last 6 major updates, I log in periodically to get free pulls and go, yeah, I got this character, and then I just stop playing. As much as I love it, it's just like that game takes up way too much time.
That's the thing. There's actually so much stuff you can do in it now. That I remember back in the day, it's like we were waiting for a certain time when little turtles came out so we could get our turtles.
I remember.
Now it's like not even worth the time getting the turtles.
Our friend complained to us that the game was too easy back in the day when the main villain, like the first raid was Mihawk, and the only 6-star was Whitebeard. And he was complaining because he pulled Vista, which is 2 times health and 2 times attack for int characters. And he was like, I don't know how you guys haven't finished Logtown already. It's so easy. And we were grinding like, dude, it's hard as anything. And he's sitting there with like 60k health. And we're like, how do you have so much? I can't get hit. And we were just slowly grinding away. I remember I was at the gym when I pulled my first 6-star. And then immediately after pulling my first 6-star, I pulled the best Luffy in the game at the time, which was Log Luffy. And I remember just losing it, just going, yeah, I can finally beat the game. Now it's like you've got a crap team
Every
leader if
event
they can't do
requires-
5.5 times damage.
Yeah, and every event requires like 6 very specific people
Oh,
with like these different traits. Whereas back in the day, yeah, there was like Whitebeard 6-star. That was it. You got him. You're just amazing.
and like even then, you had the drawback of like, oh, you've got to be at 30% health like the whole time.
Yeah. I remember Rayleigh 6-star came out and I got that and that was awesome. And it felt good too because his ability was at like 4 times as your multiplier when you hit perfect. So it feels like you're earning your damage because
Yeah.
you got to hit all the perfect.
And then
Oh, that was good. Now he's trash.
And then, like, a couple of years later, I ended up getting the Judge, which is Judge with all the Vinsmoke siblings is the laziest team, where you just, like, every tap, even if you mess up, it's essentially was forcing perfects for me. And all the siblings just stack so much damage that I just used to literally just, like, do other stuff, and I'll just tap my phone randomly and perfect island just to grind through stuff.
Yeah.
No, but Burning Blood. Oh, I loved Burning Blood as a fighter back in the day. And Pirate Warriors, I feel like they need to do a healthy merge of Burning Blood and Pirate Warriors. Because my problem is with Pirate Warriors, they do fodder okay with like fighting crowds. Because like, you know, all the Straw Hats go through and beat up heaps of people in crowds all the time. You know what I mean? But I always felt like they failed hard on boss fights. Because you just punch bosses. There's no defending, there's no dodging, you know what I mean? It's like, do I have enough health? Hit, do a special, beat the boss. Or, oh, I don't have enough health, run away, heal up, come back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with like Burning Blood, it was always like, it was like being a fighter game, it was difficult. Like, I used to run like a Kizaru, Marco, and Akainu setup, where it's like, I would just be like, I would be able to like spam people from a distance with Kizaru, come in hard and quick and do a heap of aerial stuff with Marco, and then with Akainu, you had the cheeky swap out mechanic where you could punch them up in the air and hit them over, and then make them swap out to other characters. So you could force them down to kill off characters, because it worked by instead of like you have a health bar and at the end of each round it restarts, you have 3 characters all with a health bar, and every time you beat a character, they can't swap to that character anymore. And you could just freely swap between them. That was fun. And Kuma was broken in that game if you could play him well, because he could if he slapped your character, doesn't matter if they were at full health. If you had one character left and he slapped you, it was an instant win.
Yep.
I miss that. I miss that back in the day. Okay, is there anything else you guys want to talk about with Film Red?
Oh, actually, what did you guys think of that of Uta's song fruit when she manifested that gigantic demon thing?
Okay, first things first, Daniel pointed this out before. When she's singing Top Musica, did you notice the subtitles?
No.
The
I couldn't squint far enough.
The subtitles were in poneglyph language.
Damn.
So it's like an ancient civilization's song that summons that like demon. So that demon is basically like a weapon of the ancient kingdom.
Or a deity in some capacity of the ancient kingdom.
Yeah. Supposedly, they said in the movie that it was like made up of people's like sadness or something like that.
Two, you know how I've been like on TikTok, I do the whole like devil fruit combinations, random devil fruit combos. If I had the Sing Sing fruit, Apu's music fruit, and Whitebeard's Quake fruit, dude, I would just turn my body into a subwoofer that would vibrate around the whole world and just catch everyone in a genjutsu like that. Like, dude, you could one shot the planet, no problem. She almost did, right? Dude, could you imagine if she
70%.
Could you imagine if she could also use the Quake fruit? So even if you blocked your ears, you could feel the vibrations and thus forcibly hear it. That'd be stud. Although I am curious because her wings turned black.
Yeah.
And with the whole ancient speak and stuff like that, I was wondering the connection between Lunarians and the Ancient Kingdom. Throughout that movie, because obviously in the manga at the moment, King knew about Joy Boy and was actively waiting for Joy Boy, and there was a lot more stuff with that. But like, her wings were the same color as her hair until she activated Top Musica, a seemingly like semi-ancient weapon, and then grew those wings. By the way, 2 out of the 5 best One Piece movies involve knockoff ancient weapons.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I just need to see one of these ancient weapons in the main story do something.
I think it's like a very like Japanese thing to have like this giant demon monster thing that like looks really.
You mean Bullet?
Yeah, I mean Bullet was the same. Yeah, to be honest.
Bullet
looked the exact same.
No, do you know what Bullet looked like?
That's why like Jujutsu Kaisen, I never necessarily was like super red hot on because I never really was into that aesthetic. Like
See,
the way like.
That's also a problem with me too. Like, I'm trying so hard to get into other mangas, but once I get past the first like 15 chapters, I can't continue. I don't know why it is. I'm trying so hard.
I mean, you guys know I cover a lot of other series at the moment, and I obviously need to catch up on a lot more series. But it sucks because when you're a One Piece fan, you, especially currently, you are privileged in the sense that you get a certain depth of character, a certain like depth and time each chapter, and a certain amount of like expected payoff each chapter, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You like One Piece's filler chapters still like, well, it's probably 1 every 10 chapters at the moment feels like nothing happened, and even then there's still enough to have like an hour-long discussion about what happened in that chapter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, and like I love Black Clover. It's a fun series.
Team Mimosa.
I read a chapter of Black Clover in like 8 minutes, and I'm like, I can talk about 1 or 2 things. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because I don't have a lot of people that are up to date on the manga to talk about. But even still, it's like, on my own, after doing like a read through, I can talk about one, like, I can be like 45 minutes to an hour talking about just dissecting the chapter itself before anyone comes into a conversation. Whereas I don't feel like I can do that for these other series. And part of me, like, whenever I'm doing my videos for them, I'm like, if there's any Easter eggs or anything I miss, point them out. Because the more people point stuff out like that, the more I look for it, and I'm better at looking for it, and I'm really used to it in things like One Piece. Whereas in these other mangas, it's like stuff either comes or goes, and it's so bland between them that it's like you almost forget to look out for something like that.
Yeah.
And that's not a shot at other series. Like, I've got a lot of love for other series, but it's like, I mean, even look at something like Boruto. Not every chapter needs to be like a great chapter, but it's monthly, 2 to 3 times the size of a One Piece chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely talk more about an individual One Piece chapter than I can a Boruto chapter for the most part. You know what I mean?
it's the case of where less is not. I mean, no, where more is not.
Necessarily better.
I I had a very interesting quip, but I lost it.
I know a lot of people actually hate it because I've also heard that a lot of people hated this chapter, and I'm assuming it's because of the
Really?
second last page. Because I've heard a lot of people say that the paneling was terrible and that they just like put it down because they just could not stand to read it.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really bad at like figuring out which direction I'm supposed to read things
Yep.
in. And yeah, that was like I was like, what the hell? I just couldn't figure it out. I'm looking at like the you know how like the little gaps between the panel pictures?
Yep.
I'm like, they're all the same size apart. Like all the gaps are the same size. How am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
I will admit that I had to take a picture of some of the pages. Then I had to take my mouse and kind of drag like a markered line from panel
See,
to panel.
I can see the argument for it, and it's something that is both good and bad. Because I mean, look, obviously everyone's had a bit of a problem with the paneling on at least this section here, right? But mind you, Oda packs like we said before, Oda tends to pack so much more into the chapters nowadays, post time skip, that when we get bad paneling, it does make up for it, in my opinion, because there's so many more visual Easter eggs included in the backdrop and visual storytelling. You know what I mean? That it's like a clunky page here and there isn't as painful to me as it would be in another series where if you can't figure out where to read, the chapter dies. You know what I mean? Whereas like in this, I can sort of tell what's going on, even as bad as it is verbally, because I can just kind of like while reading it, I was just sort of like, okay, I'm obviously focusing on her dialogue, so I just do the her stuff first. You know what I mean? And then move on. But I can see some like fairness in the complaints and stuff like that for it. I mean, look.
The thing is that like we talk a lot about like the way that the story's written and stuff like that a lot, but we don't necessarily, and it's just likely because we don't know how to like what goes in as much on how to write a comic and how to do paneling. But we don't necessarily comment on how well the things were drawn and how the paneling was done. I guess it's just not like our area.
It's actually it's something I do on other series other than One Piece, because a lot of people don't like the art style for One Piece. I personally I'm fine with it. I love it, right? Because
I think more so just something that you have to get used to, because even for me, when I first started One Piece, the character designs did get a little wonky. Like when I first saw Thriller Bark, I was kind of put off, but again, when I did my reread, I'm like, wow, I actually really appreciate this one a lot more. I bumped myself up from like a 5 out of 10 for the Thriller Bark to like a 7 out of 10.
compared to every other author in Shonen Jump at the moment, the thing that I would say about Oda, even though that this stuff looks crowded, he's really good at less is more. Right? So although there's a bunch of background details, it makes it so much more impactful when you get a panel that's very hyper detailed, because he typically tends to like keep the panels simple with a bit of background storytelling, if that makes sense. Whereas like if you read stuff like say Black Clover, right? Week to week, I can see an argument that the art is just better visually. But some of that storytelling gets lost in that. Same sort of thing with Berserk, right? Because Berserk is like 10 out of 10 drawings start to finish, like almost every chapter, right? So it gets to the point where when you're reading Berserk, you don't stop as often to look at the art as opposed to the story, because you sort of get almost complacent with the art, if that makes sense. Because it's like in One Piece, like best examples are like the comedy scenes, like Enel's face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? When you get a hyper detailed page of someone's face and something like that, it sticks out a lot more, whether it's funnier or more serious, because Oda doesn't typically tend to go into as much dramatic detail as it. You know
Yeah,
what
like
I mean?
when a character cries and they're feeling grief, you really feel it.
Yeah. I felt the same thing when Katakuri bitch slammed Luffy through the ground, right? And you get that like almost black silhouette of him with the eyes glowing, and he looks like a ravenous animal, and like it's a tiny panel, you know what I mean? But it was just like, because it was just so much more detailed than a lot of other panels, it was just like, I remember seeing that and I'm like, that stuck with me so well, you know what I mean? And he does it a lot. Like, sometimes the less is more. By being what some people may consider a lazy or a bad art style, it means when he does put in the effort to do art, it hits hard. Which is, I think, best showcased in my favorite arc, art-wise, of Sky Island, where because it's like so much more cloud work, most of the pages are just white and empty. But it makes the stuff that he does draw so much more impressive because he spends that time on it. You know what I mean? What else? What else is there to talk about? Or are we close to wrapping up? Do you think? Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about?
I'm kind of winding down.
Yeah, we've been going for almost 2.5 hours, so it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I said even before this that I was
Tired.
pretty tired
Yeah.
today. So.
Nah, that's all right. Okay. Predictions for next chapter. I have a damn strong feeling that we're going to start to... Vegapunk will talk about an ancient kingdom, and Robin will start to throw in her 2 cents and like start to equate the two.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy may somehow activate this ancient giant by running around on it like an idiot. And let's say at the end, Cypher Pole shows up. Like they land on the island.
Yeah.
I reckon that's probably whereabouts we're at. In terms of
My predictions would be that maybe Zoro and Brook actually encounter CP9 briefly, or maybe there's just like a few panels of them. Maybe we'll get a little bit more context of that Seraphim data and everything that they were building with the two. Maybe we'll get a rap sheet and a proper report of what they were collecting. Like just stuff like statistics and talking about like battle data, and maybe going more so into the biology of the Seraphim as well. I would appreciate that a lot. And I don't know. I do want to know more about this like giant rusted piece of scrap metal at the very end, because again, he does have a Viking helmet on.
Links to Elbaf coming in. So you see a Viking helmet, and I just see ancient giant race. Like Oars Junior and Oars.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm half expecting it to maybe be like a replica, like the robot replica of like Oars Senior or something like that. Or
that's definitely a high possibility as well.
Because we still need an explanation on what the hell the skull at Onigashima was.
Yeah.
Because imagine if Oars, like an Oars-sized giant, ended up eating, what's his name? Saruman Wolf's unnamed gigantification fruit.
Oh.
And then
that would be a cool tie-in.
Maybe made Wano and then passed away. That could be a pretty good explanation and pretty busted for why something's that big. You know what I mean? Also, so yeah, next chapter, I've got a feeling that we're gonna find a little bit about the Void Century sort of stuff. Maybe CP0 shows up at the end. Also, Film Red was fucking amazing. Love that movie. If anyone hasn't seen it, do yourself a favor, go see that at the movies, because it's not going to be the same seeing it on YouTube or at home. It won't be.
And don't just watch clips. You gotta watch the whole thing from
Oh.
start to finish.
Yeah, because if you just watch clips, right? Could you imagine seeing without the context of what was happening when Uta breaks Barto's barrier?
Yeah.
Like, I there could be some misunderstandings on what is happening in that scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is something that you can't just select which parts you want to cut out and observe.
It's an
Yeah, take the whole
experience.
plate.
It's definitely an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Also, maybe next chapter we see one of the 5 or 6 numbered seraphims. It'll
The seraphims are so good. I just don't want them to crash.
Will the seraphims be loyal to the world government or to Vegapunk?
Ooh.
Who are they programmed to follow? The highest authority? Or their maker?
Vegapunk is quote unquote their father, but is he their daddy?
Oh, dude, could you imagine Big Papa Akainu? Go forth, my children! They start flying around like the flying monkeys from Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz music starts and you've just got Akainu there.
Oh, please don't do that.
I mean, he's already got Kizaru as a flying monkey. The ultimate flying monkey. When he dies, his feet curl up. Yeah, nah. Any suggestions or theories from you for the next chapter, Daniel?
Not really, to be honest. Not 100% sure what will happen.
I could also potentially see just a really big FU and it cuts away to Laura and Blackbeard again. Or to the Marine base nearby with Helmeppo.
Or maybe Captain Kid.
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think we get any love from Kid.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe, honestly, at the end of this arc, maybe we get like a small scene of him finding whoever the man touched by fire is.
I'm just so worried. If Oda decides to give Kid another off-screened L, I'm just gonna cry.
See, at this point in time, I'm like, Kid has done all he needs to do, as painful as that is. Speaking of, did you hear the SBS story with the backstory for Kid and his crew?
No, I haven't. I've been wanting to delve into that.
Alright, I might cover this just before ending up then, if you want.
Yes, please.
So, I know it off the top of my head anyway. Essentially, just to cut it short. So, in a previous SBS, it talked about Kid and Killer falling in love with the same girl. Hang on 1 second. Trying to get her name, just so I don't get it wrong. Anyway, Kid and Killer fell in love with the same girl, right? So they come from an island in the South Blue. Kid, Killer, Heat, and Wire all come from the same kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this kingdom was not affiliated with the world government. It was one of the places that couldn't pay the heavenly tribute, and so the island was split between 4 rival gangs and one overarching ruling gang. So 5 gangs, 1 leading gang, and then 4 gangs fighting for supremacy, right? The girl that Kid and Killer had a crush on as a kid, that rejected them because they spilled curry on her and they laughed at her face, ended up being killed by the ruling gang family, right? So in their rage, Kid and Killer band together and unite all 4 criminal organizations and overthrow and murder the ruling gang family. after that, they're so sickened by the state of their country that they decide they want to set out to sea and become pirates. And so that's practically their backstory. It isn't stated whether or not any other members of Kid's crew come from this country. I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Heat and Wire are maybe members or leaders of one of the 4 gangs. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, small but interesting little backstory there for them.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Not quite as lengthy as Law's, but Law got a whole novel to delve into his backstory as well over the SVS. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or two we get the same thing for Kid, where Kid gets his own novel backstory and maybe even a manga adaptation. If Law gets one,
I would love that. Again, there's so much material. Even after One Piece ends, there's so much more that you can do with the series.
Well, I feel like something like that could easily be covered in like a 20-minute episode, 30-minute episode. And so if you had like that for each one of the supernovas, because we know that Capone did something very similar by he assassinated all the gang leaders from his home stretch of sea by like backstabbing mafia members until he became the top don. We obviously know Law's backstory after Sparrow Island, saved Beppo from getting the shit beat out of him by Sachi and Penguin, formed his own crew, and then set out. The one I'm most curious about at the moment is Rouge and his backstory as a supernova. And
yeah, Rouge is just...
Would it be weird to say that I'm actually scared that he may be the only supernova that we don't get a story arc focusing on?
Please, no. I mean, it would be really interesting if he was introduced when they had to find the next super weapon, Uranus, right?
Oh, it would be interesting. But, I don't know. I don't know if
no, but it makes sense. Like, it's just given like time constraints and everything, and given the fact that Oda also constantly kills himself to write. I don't know.
I'm sort of grateful we've gotten as much love for all the other supernovas as we have so far. Especially since a lot of them sort of felt almost shoehorned in at Wano. You know what I mean? But that being said, I would be really keen to see some love from Rouge. Being a Skypean, it'd be really interesting if he was the Birkin that stood up against Enel and like got cast down. But at this point in time, it's just a lot of theories and hearsay. You know what I mean? It's also fun at the moment just getting to see Bonnie and a little bit of backstory and love for Bonnie, especially since she's been sidelined for so long. It's good to see some love for her, and she seems more capable. Like, she doesn't seem as strong as the other supernova, but she seems more capable in a weird way, if that makes sense. Anyway. But yeah, okay. So is that everything everyone wants to touch on?
No, that pretty much wraps it up for me.
Perfect. Alright, well, we might wrap... Ooh, pulling cables off with my chair. We might wrap that up there then. And no break. So next week, hopefully we'll find out anyway. I'll be damn excited. Hopefully I don't get any spoilers. I've been avoiding spoilers pretty well recently, but every now and then you get like a panel or something from something, and it just like it makes your heart sink. You know what I mean? All right. So say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Good one, everybody.
All right. Peace. Catch out any of the videos coming throughout the week. I'll be doing a bunch of them tomorrow, so there might not be any videos released for Monday specifically, but there'll be a bunch catching up for last week coming out throughout the week. Also started streaming on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Saturdays and Sundays at this point in time on Twitch, so be sure to check that stuff out, and check out the link tree in the description down below to check out things like Twitter, Twitch, the Discord, and also TikTok, where I've been posting a bunch of stuff recently about the trip to Melbourne, going to the One Piece Cafe. It was absolutely wonderful. Got to have a Gear 5 burger, which was really fun. So be sure to check that stuff out. Peace, nothing but love, nothing but respect. Have a damn good day. Goodbye.